Hello, welcome back to the breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a breaking news report coming out from Taiwan, and it looks like we have yet another undersea cable that has been damaged. We've been talking so much about this recently, primarily in the Baltic Sea. We actually just had a cable that was cut between, I believe, Lithuania and Finland just in the last week or so. Now, another report off the western coast of Taiwan. They're claiming that an undersea cable that's used for telecommunications has been severed, and it looks like they may have found the culprit. So take a look at your screen here. Taiwanese Coast Guard detains a Chinese vessel after telecom cable cut. Taiwan's Coast Guard detained a cargo ship and its Chinese crew on Tuesday, said it was investigating whether the vessel had deliberately cut an undersea internet cable. So it looks to me like they have actually caught the ship that has done this. The name of the ship is actually Hong Tai and completely manned by a Chinese crew. So it looks like this is a ship that is linked to China. And this is something we have seen before up in the Baltic Sea when we had a cable that was damaged. I think it was between Lithuania and Gotland over to Sweden. We had a cable that was cut just a few months back. I think it was in December or November. And apparently was cut by a Chinese manned ship also. I think it was the Yipeng 3. We talked about that. So I want to give you guys some more details on this, and I'll also show you this full video here in just a little bit, showing the Taiwanese Coast Guard detaining this ship and boarding it for investigation. So they have caught the ship that could potentially be involved with destroying one of these undersea cables on the western coast of Taiwan. So let's go ahead and jump into this, and I'll show you this report from the Maritime Executive. Taiwan detains suspicious ship linked to China after offshore cable damage. Okay, here's a photo coming out from that area as they pulled this ship to a port to investigate. And it says here, Taiwan's Coast Guard administration confirmed it has detained a suspicious vessel for further investigation as the country's telecom provider, Chunghwa, if I'm pronouncing that right, reported operations of one of its offshore cables had been interrupted. The vessel, which is believed to have Chinese ownership but is flying the flag of Togo, was directed into port where it was boarded for investigation. So real quick before we continue, this is actually the second, maybe third time we've had reports of cables being destroyed off the coast of Taiwan. There was one not too long ago, maybe a month or two back, that we reported on the northern side of their island, this time now being on the western side. Taiwan had reported in January that it was increasing its offshore surveillance and patrols in response to a perceived threat from communist China. The island nation experienced a cable outage in January, which is said might have been caused by another ship related to China in 2023 lost communication links to one of its small offshore islands after another cable was severed. The Navy started a new tracking system to identify suspicious vessels they reported on ships flying a flag of convenience. Coast Guard had been deployed to investigate the vessel, which is showing the identity of Hong Tai 168, which is the name of the ship, after the monitoring system observed the vessel anchored since February 2022, approximately 6 nautical miles off the fishing village of Zhangjiun, if I'm saying that correctly, in southwest Taiwan on the Taiwan Strait. The Coast Guard reports a shore station had attempted to contact the vessel 7 times since it anchored offshore but received no reply. Today, February 25th, at just after 0300 hours local time, the vessel was observed starting to move away from its anchorage in a northwest direction. At approximately the same time, the Coast Guard was asked to investigate after Chunghwa Telecom reported its main subsea cable to Penghu was apparently severed and it had switched to a backup to maintain communications. That's crazy. So completely was destroyed, as looked like. And they had to move to backup communications to keep things online. So here's a photo of the Coast Guard boarding the ship. And it says right here also the Coast Guard intercepted the vessel, but was unable to board it due to high seas and high freeboard. 2 additional vessels were dispatched to assist, and the Togo-flagged ship was directed into Onping Port, where it arrived at midday and was boarded for further inspection. The vessel appears to have been built in 2006 and previously reported ownership by Chinese interests. It is 1,800 DWT. Okay, and it says here Taiwanese officials are questioning the identity of the vessel. They reported there was a crew of 8 Chinese nationals aboard who said the vessel was Hong Tai 168. The name is painted on the hull as well, but the AIS signal is broadcasting Hong Tai 58. I wonder why they would have that discrepancy. It's supposed to be 168, but they were broadcasting 58. So that's interesting. Officials are calling the vessel a makeshift ship, but they believe it is backed by Chinese capital. They noted that while there is an apparent break in the cable, it is unclear if it was intentional sabotage or an accident. Further investigations are underway to clarify the circumstances. So, my question here is we've heard this many times actually, and I'm curious, how can it be considered an accident if the cable is, let's say 60 feet below the water or maybe even deeper? How could a ship actually damage a cable that's so far down and do that by accident? I guess it's definitely something that I don't fully understand, but definitely an interesting situation going on here as we've seen this repeatedly happening multiple times. Okay, Taiwan's been getting attacked here a lot, and also in the Baltic nations, many countries being affected by this same string of events where we're having cables being cut. Okay, so now we're going to jump on over to X and I'll show you guys a couple things over here. This is from Vicegrad24 breaking. Undersea telecommunication cable between Taiwan and its Kinmen Island near China had been destroyed. Taiwan's Coast Guard detained the crew of the China-owned vessel Hong Tai after the Taiwan Penghu No. 3 cable was destroyed this morning. The crew is all Chinese. Okay, so the number 3 cable that they're talking about here, I believe, is this cable right here. It says Taiwan Penghu No. 3 cable. Okay, so these are all the different cables. But I believe one of these on the northern side got severed recently, or at least damaged, is what was being reported. Now today is going to be this smaller cable right here that leads from Taiwan mainland over to the island of Penghu. And then I guess it connects over here to Kinmen, okay, next to China. So allegedly, this is the cable right here, this kind of smaller one that they're talking about, okay? So now we'll go ahead and jump on over to another post, and I'll show you guys the actual video footage of the Coast Guard boarding this ship, okay? It's about 50 seconds long, so we'll jump on over here to next. Breaking, Chinese vessel caught in sabotage. Taiwan detains crew for destroying undersea cable. Taiwan's Coast Guard has detained the Chinese vessel Hong Tai, which was caught destroying an undersea telecommunications cable between Taiwan and Kinmen Island, located near China. The entire crew, all Chinese nationals, has been arrested and is being taken to Taiwan. Official Taipei may view the incident as an act of sabotage by Beijing. So what will happen here if they can actually prove that this ship committed this act of sabotage, destroying one of these undersea cables? We'll have to see what Taiwan decides to do here. As recently we did talk about Finland, they took some major action against the Eagle-S bulk carrier not too long ago and completely seized the ship at one point as they were conducting investigations. So Finland set a pretty good example of how countries should be dealing with this. We'll see if Taiwan does the same. Take a look at this.
目前一名海巡人员平安登艇。目前第2名人员平安登艇，登上宏泰58号。
All right, so as we can see, the ship has been pulled to a port off the coast of Taiwan while the Taiwanese Coast Guard and authorities conducted an investigation to find out if this ship has anything to do with severing this cable. Now, was it an anchor that was being dragged or what was going on here? We don't really know. But there was a story that got buried a little while back that was off of Newsweek, and I talked to you guys about it at one point, that apparently some companies inside of China have been building some sort of devices that can be used to cut these cables very easily. Kind of like if you were to envision like some scissors hanging off the side of a boat, like a giant pair of scissors, where they could just roll right over a cable and cut it. So there was some reports coming out on that from Newsweek just a couple weeks back that was talking about that. So I'm not sure how they could have destroyed this cable other than maybe dragging the anchor, or they using this type of technology that China was allegedly developing, because there was a lot of talk about that. But nonetheless, a pretty crazy story coming out from Taiwan. And I'm going to follow this very closely because this is probably the second time we've had a very serious response coming from a country that is responding to these cables being cut, such as I talked about Finland as earlier. So insane story, guys. Let me know what you think about all these details. Just wanted to give you this quick update coming out from Taiwan. And if we get more information, I will do another update video and let you know what the outcome is here. But share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions down in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.